Part 16. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 151. Chen Jian was shocked. He gives his family an allowance of 10,000 yuan a month, which includes the children's expenses. But her daughter only has 7 or 8 steel coins in her bag. Naturally, he didn't know that the reason why his daughter had no money was because Wang Shu and others robbed Chen Yi of 50 yuan early in the morning. Dad. If you were my dad, you would search Zhou Qingqing's body right now to see how much money she carries with her. Tao Ran burst into tears and shouted hoarsely. So tired. After shouting for so long, her voice was almost hoarse. Her face was full of pain, and everyone looked at her with distressed eyes. Even her head teacher kept wiping away tears. Han Mingli felt quite guilty. Was it so hard for a student who was not liked by her? I really listened to her stepmother's words and felt that she was not motivated and self-disciplined. The poor child was abused at home and bullied at school. As a class teacher, Han Mingli felt guilty, and now she grabbed Zhou Qingqing's arm and helped Chen Jian rummage in her pocket. But who would have known that at this moment, the villain in the crying Tao Ran was laughing wildly. Today, Zhou Qingqing bribed those 3 ruffians to help her in front of Chen Yi. In order to make the 3 people who were jealous of the money obey, she deliberately put a lot of money on her body in addition to the wad of money she gave out. So Chen Yi knew that Zhou Qingqing now had at least 2,000 to 3,000 people. Chen Jian was stunned. He was shocked to hear that his daughter had been subjected to domestic violence. He was heartbroken when he saw his daughter's wounds. Thinking of the homeroom teacher calling him just now and saying, "Didn't Mother Qingqing tell you? Mother Qingqing said you couldn't get away. If it wasn't really a critical situation and Mother Qingqing couldn't help, I wouldn't be able to help you. Call me." If it weren't for the call from the head teacher, he still wouldn't know that something happened to his daughter. The woman didn't even tell him about such a big thing. He was indeed in a meeting, but it was not a conference, she knew that clearly. So, she did it on purpose. So what is she going to do? Is it self-evident whether she is kind or evil? Is she going to prevent herself from even seeing her daughter for the last time? Chen Jian was frightened for a while. Could it be that the wife he always thought he married to the right man wasn't the face in his eyes? Now that his daughter was accusing him, he couldn't help but keep an eye on his stepdaughter. Zhou Qingqing, who had always been the most well-behaved in his mind, was actually retreating, his eyes flickering, and he looked guilty. Zhou Qingqing struggled to no avail. All the money in the pockets of the school uniform was dug out and fell to the ground. All red. It's clear at a glance. At least 2,000 to 3,000. How rich must a junior high school student be to carry so much money with him? Although the school does not allow mobile phones and students can only use cash to buy things, they really do not need to bring so much money. The stepdaughter has an allowance of 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, but her biological daughter is secretly selling scraps. Chen Jian could hardly stand. He looked at his wife, who was blocked dozens of meters away, and felt strange for a moment. Ma Xiaozu was also scared, even more scared than her daughter. She wanted to step forward, but was blocked again. Zhou Qingqing explained with tears in her eyes, "It's not what my sister said. Mom gave me this money this morning and asked me to buy a massager for grandma. Mom said she was not free, so she asked me to go. She lied." Yes, Qingqing is right. That's how it is. My sister is rich, and my mother gives us pocket money every week. Our pocket money is the same, 100 a week, not 100 a month. Yes, when I gave Qingqing money this morning, Xiao I must have seen the misunderstanding and thought I was unfair. So she got angry. The mother and daughter sang together. Chen Jian asked coldly, "What about the others? According to you, Xiao I is lying about every one of them? She is already like this, how can she still lie?" Chen Jian suddenly remembered that in the winter 7 years ago, when Chen Yi's mother was leaving, he swore by the hospital bed that he would take good care of the child and let the child grow up healthy and happy. But regardless of whether the daughter is lying now, it is true that the daughter is unhappy. And he didn't know this until now. Therefore, he failed to fulfill his promise to Chen Yi's mother. Not only was the child unhappy, but he no longer wanted to live. But he always thought that the whole family was happy. Apparently, he was quite wrong. And Xiaoai's words just now, saying that without a mother, there would be no father, also stung him. At that time, he never thought about remarrying so soon. He was actually worried that his mother and daughter would not be taken care of. Xiaoai, Dad must make the decision for you. Dad is wrong and shouldn't disbelieve you. Come down and let Dad take a good look at your injury. But you can't help me. Tao Ran was swaying, and Chen Jian's heart was also swaying in the air, feeling extremely tormented. Because the mastermind who wanted to kill me was your wife and stepdaughter. But I have no evidence. You are talking nonsense without evidence, Zhou Qingqing and Ma Xiaozi said in unison. If I had evidence, with so many police officers here, I would have asked them to seek justice. How can you two stand here and watch my show? Do I need to seek death? Tao Ran was so excited that the cement board fell again. It was a shock. Everyone. It seems to make sense. Zhou Qingqing, Dad, sister, she is a little out of control. She is probably confused. You can't listen to her nonsense. Ma Xiaozi, husband, I don't. Don't you see how I have treated my children over the years? Xiaoai, how could you wrong my mother so much? My mother is so sad. I'm going to die, why am I wronging you? You have no heart at all, where are you going to hurt me? Dad, although I have no evidence, but even if I die, I have to accuse the mother and daughter first. Whether you believe it or not, I have to tell you, what I told you yesterday about Zhou Qingqing colluding with school gangsters is true. Those people have been working for this mother and daughter. It was Zhou Qingqing who tricked me out today and sent me to Wangshu. In order for Wangshu and others to help their mother and daughter with things, Zhou Qingqing gave him a lot of money. If you don't believe it, ask the police officers to search Wangshu's pants pocket. There is money given to him by Zhou Qingqing. Wangshu has been detained, and there is no chance to transfer the money. Of course, whether or not the money had names on it, he never thought about the need to transfer it. Upon hearing this, his face turned pale. The police officers were very solemn when they heard this. What is this? Pulling out the carrots and bringing out the mud, how come the words really bring out the smell of murder? Looking through Wangshu's pocket, he found a stack of red banknotes. A dozen or so. The sharp-eyed policeman took the coins in Zhang Wangshu's pocket and compared them with the coins that Zhou Qingqing had dropped earlier. The creases were exactly the same. The dean of students had just informed him that Wangshu's family conditions were not good. His father was a gangster, his mother was working out of town, and he had almost no one to care about him. Moreover, his family was always in trouble because of his troubles, so there was no way they would have so much pocket money to give him. So it's obvious. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 152. Zhou Qingqing, do you admit it? You gave this money to Wangshu, Tao Ran shouted to Zhou Qingqing. You're talking nonsense. Zhou Qingqing calmed herself down. The money is not connected with her own money, so what is she afraid of? I have never given Wangshu money. Don't slander me. I have never spoken to Wangshu. We are not familiar with each other at all. Police officer. Tao Ran jumped on the cement board twice more and kicked down the last piece of gravel at his feet. Take the wad of money on Wangshu's body for inspection. It has Zhou Qingqing's fingerprints on it, which can prove what I said. I watched Zhou Qingqing give the money to Wang Shu with my own eyes. And after everything was done, she will also give him a large sum of money. She can't afford to miss this. At this moment, Wang Shu and Zhou Qingqing almost jumped up at the same time. Wang Shu, why is she so stubborn? If this continues, will he really be bitten to death and become a murderer? Zhou Qingqing, it's over. It's over. The police won't really check fingerprints, right? So she couldn't clean herself up even if she jumped into the Yellow River? Wang Shu. Do you admit it or not, Taoran changed his target again. Did Zhou Qingqing give you your money? Think clearly. I have decided to die. Once I die, your money will definitely be taken for inspection, and Zhou Qingqing cannot escape it. Are you the mastermind of the murder? Accessory, those are two different concepts. Wang Shu had already felt that Chen Yi was crazy. At this time, he didn't want to gamble anymore. He was just collecting money to do something. Why did he get to this point? It's Zhou Qingqing. She gave me the money. She is the mastermind. Lu Hua and Tan Chao can both testify to this. It was Zhou Qingqing who wanted to harm Chen Yi. We just used the money to take a few photos. He recruited. Lu Hua and Tan Chao on the other side wanted to admit it a long time ago, and immediately insisted that it was Zhou Qingqing who did it. There was an uproar all around. Zhou Qingqing. She is the organizing committee member of the class. He is a good classmate that the teacher often praises. He is the most popular among his classmates and is recognized as a school belle. Under everyone's gaze, and under the backlash of Wang Shu and others, Zhou Qingqing couldn't hold back any longer. Wang Shu, you are talking nonsense. Today, it was Wang Shu who lent me money, and I lent him the money. This money was lent to him, and had no other meaning. Zhou Qingqing winked at Wang Shu. I didn't let you harm anyone. Don't accuse me unjustly. Zhou Qingqing. But didn't you just emphasize that you didn't give Wang Shu the money, and you said I slandered you? Why are you admitting to lending money to Wang Shu now? Taoran interrupted her. Aren't you not familiar with Wang Shu? Then you still lend him money? If you pay him back, it's more than 1,000. What is your relationship with Wang Shu? Zhou Qingqing's legs went weak, she staggered back and almost fell to the ground. She can't speak. The students around him burst into disdain. Yes. What relationship? If it weren't for the relationship between the mastermind and his accomplice, it wouldn't be a relationship between a man and a woman, right? More than 1,000. It's not just 1 or 2 yuan. How close do you have to be so generous? As expected, people should not be judged by their appearance. I really didn't expect that the classmate around them, who was known to be kind, beautiful, and outstanding in everything, would be so scheming. Fortunately, Zhou Qingqing sneered at those little ruffians every day. The last time Chen Yi was bullied by Wang Shu, it was she who stood up to stop him. At that time, she scolded several Wang Shus loudly, and afterwards she won the praise of the whole class. The whole class knew that she hated those gangsters. Who would have thought that she was the one secretly giving money to the gangsters? This is too scheming. If we combine Chen Yi's previous accusations against them, don't they all make sense? Could it be that, as Chen Yi said, it was the mother and daughter who spent money to kill the original wife's child? Whether he really wanted to pay for the murder or instigated the violence, it was still terrible. You don't even dare to write a novel like this, right? Everyone involuntarily took a few steps further away from Zhou Qingqing. Taoran, police officers, have you seen it? This Zhou Qingqing is full of lies. Dad, you have also seen it, this is your well-behaved stepdaughter. Zhou Qingqing spends money so generously, you are not so naive as to think that you have nothing to do with your wife. It has nothing to do with it, right? Even Wang Shu has accused her. Do you still think they are not the masterminds? On the other side, Lu Hua and Tan Chao were already confessing, saying that they could go get the mobile phone they had just hidden in the ruins to testify that there were ugly photos Zhou Qingqing asked them to take of Chen Yi, and that Zhou Qingqing paid them to chase them. Follow Chen Yi, punish Chen Yi, and let them take photos that are uglier and more embarrassing, and that make Chen Yi unable to hold her head up, the better. After the incident was completed, Zhou Qingqing promised to give them a sum of money. And the money Wang Shu had with him was the deposit given by her. In short, everything has been explained. They even confessed that Zhou Qingqing had ordered them to humiliate Chen Yi before. The police said that if they confessed voluntarily, they would be exempted from certain responsibilities. Otherwise, no matter whether they were the mastermind or the accomplice, they would not be able to get away with it this time. Therefore, in order to seek a lighter consequence, they were very obedient at the moment. Everyone was in an uproar again. Lying cannot be so discreet. It is impossible for several people to tell the same testimony without having the opportunity to collude. Looking at it now, the three Wang Shus are obviously more trustworthy than Ma Xiaozu and her daughter. Tan Chao also found his cell phone. Each photo shows Chen Yi crying and begging on her knees, and some showing Chen Yi falling to the ground and unable to get up. It's true. Otherwise, why would we spend all this time taking ugly photos of Chen Yi? What's the use of making her look embarrassed? We just took some photos and didn't want to kill her. As if struck by lightning, Chen Jian burst into tears. He thought about yesterday. What did he do? His daughter came to him and said that Zhou Qingqing had paid to collude with the gangsters to harm her, but he didn't even hear the whole story and scolded his daughter. His daughter cried so sadly yesterday, he did not comfort her, and for the first time he saw disappointment in his daughter's eyes. It turns out that it's all true. Tao Ran saw Chen Jian's expression and knew that his plan was successful. Unwilling to do anything, she simply continued to accuse. Dad, if you have a conscience, how much have you cared about me over the years? You never thought that you would be deceived by that mother and daughter, right? Why am I so fat and can't lose weight? Why was I so cheerful before? Will my character become like this? Why did my grades decline like this? Why do those mother and daughter hate me so much and want to get rid of me? Even why grandma suddenly fell ill at home back then, was it really a coincidence? Could it be that with grandma at home, the woman couldn't be a real hostess, so she got rid of grandma before the son was born? After some questioning, only half of it was confirmed to be true, and the remaining half about grandma was Tao Ran's guess plus some nonsense. It doesn't matter if it's true or false, Tao Ran just wants to let Ma Xiaozu and her daughter experience the powerlessness of not being trusted, being hard to explain, being unable to prove themselves, and even being unable to speak. Especially Chen Yi's father is now suspicious. Once a seed of doubt is planted, it quickly takes root and becomes impossible to uproot. In addition, Chen Yi's biggest wish is to protect her grandma. If Chen Jian can cheer up and pay more attention to the old lady, it will always be beneficial. Chen Jian's face turned pale, and when he retreated, it was thanks to the police's support that he didn't fall down. He was frightened again. There was too much excitement today, and his mind hadn't thought about it yet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 153. Tao Ran has regarded his current place as a stage. It was rare for hundreds of people to be so engrossed in watching her act, so of course she couldn't live up to it. Of course, she was also paying attention to the actions of the police below. She had to be tight-lipped and control the progress. She could neither be left in the cold nor give up halfway. Of course, she had to ensure the best and strongest dramatic effect. Dad, let me tell you, Ma Xiaozu, who was still at the front desk back then, deliberately committed suicide to attract your attention. You are the boss, and she knew you would definitely save her. She knew that my mother was dead, so she deliberately appeared in front of you with the image you needed most. I'm here just to seduce you and come to our house. Well, I'm still guessing. True or false is not necessarily true. But for someone like Masayozu, being wronged is not considered wrongful. They should also suffer the injustice that Chenyi suffered. I also tell you that I overheard the conversation between their mother and daughter, saying that I was too much of an eyesore. As long as I am here, I will get half of your property. By then, Zhou Qingqing and his brother will only get half, which is such a loss. So as long as I am here, I will get half of your property. When I'm gone, all your property belongs to their family of 3. That's why they keep harming me. She gave the mother and daughter another motive to go out. This conversation was of course fake, so there was no such thing as eavesdropping. But with so much foreshadowing, everyone's hearts have long been focused on her. Now that she is so excited and shouting so loudly, she really can't be serious anymore, can she? It was after hearing this that I was more wary of Zhou Qingqing, but I saw her hanging out with Wang Shu and the others. Do you know how scared I was when I went to find you yesterday? But you don't know right from wrong, you don't know right from wrong. Too much, it's chilling. Of course, Taoran noticed that all the air mattresses below had been arranged, and that there were several fewer police officers from the previous group. There is no doubt that the rescue operation has begun. She also stood up. This is the last scene before filming ends. I am so disappointed in this world. I have only one last wish, Dad, can you promise me? Chen Jian shook his head, with a nervous look on his face. You are still young, and you have to realize your wishes by yourself. Dad is waiting for you and will accompany you. No, I can't live. Wang Shu and the others are underage, so they won't be punished. They suffered a loss today and will definitely take revenge on me in the future. And my stepmother and stepsister will never let me go after they were exposed by me. My stepmother gave birth to a son for the Chen family, and you will neither divorce her nor pursue her for murder. Therefore, I can't survive at home. All that is waiting for me is death. Taoran took a step forward. Dad, I hope you promise that when I die, you must take good care of Grandma. Because I suspect that Grandma, who has always been in good health, suddenly suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and has something to do with my stepmother. I don't believe that coincidence at all. This was Taoran's conjecture, but she just wanted to tell it in public. Grandma has been hurt once, she can't do it a second time. You can't stay blind all your life. Taoran let go of the hand that had been holding onto the railing and was so sore that it was almost numb. The legs were really weak, and the cement board shook even more violently, scaring many of the students below into whimpering. Okay, I've said all I have to say. This time, Taoran smiled. She laughed with tears streaming down her face. You failed to fulfill what your mother asked you before she died, but you must not let me down. Otherwise I will not forgive you. She took another step forward. Dad, take care of yourself and say sorry to Grandma for me. In the next life, I don't want to be your daughter, but I still want to be Grandma's granddaughter. My daughter is unfilial and has to go find her biological mother first. There were tears in her eyes and she smiled brightly. There was a sudden boiling down below, some were crying, some were shouting, and everyone was asking her to stop. Officer Feng was extremely anxious. He is making final arrangements. Seeing that his men were about to be in position and had already started to put on the safety rope, they would be able to attack at the same time in 30 seconds at most and save Chen Yi. But why did Chen Yi, who had always been standing well, change her rhythm all of a sudden? He hurriedly shouted several orders over the intercom. Hurry up. Hurry. 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 Action. He only needed 10 more seconds at most. Ken. Thank you, policeman. Tao Ran turned around and thanked the policeman who appeared out of nowhere and was only 5 steps away from her, reaching out to touch her. Then, amid everyone's exclamations, he fell straight down the stairs. For a moment, except for the movement of birds flying around, the air was somewhat solid. This jump is a must. After jumping, all her previous scenes will become real. Only by jumping can she make all the foreshadowing make sense. Only by jumping can the previous accusation be stamped and be remembered by everyone present. Only by jumping can all her accusations be taken seriously, be alerted, and be taken seriously. Tao Ran is not only for Chen Yi, but also for all minors like Chen Yi. Just treat her as someone who is trying to attract others. It would be best to make a big enough fuss and cause some noise in society, then her jump would be of extraordinary significance. Otherwise, those who have done evil today will have an attempted crime at best and their plans will not come to fruition. Even those 3 little ruffians will be fine. At that time, under the guidance of the school, everyone will sit down and talk, shake hands, and the other party will apologize, and the matter will be forgotten in a few days. After all, almost everyone below wants to settle the matter, so under the influence of several parties, this matter may not even be considered a case. And those scum will soon become good guys again, they may not restrain themselves, and they may even intensify their efforts to counterattack. Then next time, I'm afraid no one will dare to stand up and testify against them. No. Why? She doesn't agree. This matter must be done according to her wishes. She knew it was safe down there, so she decided to put on a show and do the whole thing. So she must jump. She didn't think much and just jumped down. It happened to be stuck in the few seconds when she saw Officer Feng gesturing at the intercom. The time is right. Passed by, missed, everyone present was heartbroken. Screams everywhere. Chaos. She fell straight onto the airbed. But Tao Ran still overestimated the quality of this body. She had planned to continue acting after the fall. She had already thought about it, she would roll her eyes and faint in front of Chen Jian. Before that, she had to point out those scum and accuse them again with her resentful eyes. She had to perform the words resentment and injustice. But she still thought too much. Perhaps it was because she was relaxed, or perhaps because her body had reached its limit. After several rounds of bouncing off the air mattress, she was so tired that she fainted before the performance even started. At that moment, only one thought came to her mind: if she is so weak, she must have high blood pressure, right? Lose weight. Must lose weight. I would like to emphasize again that this article is fictional and purely fictitious. Please do not imitate the protagonist's behavior. If you encounter school violence or domestic violence, please be brave enough to call the police. Comparing your heart. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 154. Chen Yi flew down, whimpering broke out, and police and medical staff swarmed towards her. Chen Jian's hands and feet were cold. He sat on the ground helplessly, but could not stand up. He couldn't help it anymore and cried out. How long has it been since he cried? The last time she cried like this was when Chen Yi's mother passed away, right? How long has it been since he took his biological daughter seriously? How long has it been since he greeted his daughter? The moment his daughter flew down from the sky, his heart hurt as if it was being crushed. What passed before his eyes were many scenes that he had long forgotten: helping his daughter learn to walk, feeding his daughter rice cereal, making a kite for his daughter, teaching his daughter to ride a bicycle, crying with his daughter in front of his wife's grave. It was also at this moment that he realized that the beautiful memories between him and his daughter seemed to be interrupted right after that. Gone. What has he done? Only when it is lost is it valuable. At this moment, he felt real regret, and great pain filled his heart. Regret, guilt, and heartache made him realize what he had lost. A hand climbed up to him, and it was Ma Xiaozu who had been let go. Chen Jian felt a chill, and a surge of anger instantly filled his weak hands and feet, causing him to push the person away without saying a word. "Husband, you believe me. Don't talk. Don't touch me either. I don't want to see you right now." Chen Jian almost climbed up on his hands and feet and rushed to his daughter who was being lifted off the air mattress. Then he cried louder. "Daughter, why is my daughter like this?" His body was covered with various wounds. There were old and new injuries, some of which were still oozing blood, and it was terrible to see. "Doctor, please help me see how my daughter is doing. She'll be fine, right? Give her a full body check and take a good look." Seeing Ma Xiaozu coming up again, Chen Jian became even more angry. With one backhand, he knocked the woman to the spot. On the verge of losing control, he didn't notice at all that this was the first time he had ever touched his wife. "Look at the good thing you did. I gave my daughter to you, and this is how you take care of her, regardless of whether those injuries were caused by her. As a mother, she cannot escape the responsibility of poor guardianship. But how did she tell lies and still pretend to be a good wife and mother? Get out. Stay away from me and Xiaoi." The doctor gave Chen Yi a general examination and determined that the coma was caused by losing control of his emotions and excessive mental stress. Specifically, he had to be sent to the hospital for examination. This made Chen Jian finally breathe a sigh of relief. He couldn't take his eyes away from his daughter's wound. When he heard Wang Shu, who was detained by the police, saying that his daughter framed him, Chen Jian rushed over again. "Comrade police, have you seen my daughter's injuries? My daughter was tortured like this by them. Is this just a matter of taking a few photos? As for my daughter, she risked her own life and even left behind her favorite grandma. Really? My daughter said they were murderers. Please detain them quickly and interrogate them. I will also sue them for murder and wounding." Wang Shu and others jumped up. "As I said, we are entrusted by your stepdaughter to do things for her. If you have the ability, ask your wife. What's the use of just biting us? I just use money to do things. You." And this is what makes Chen Jian collapse even more. He was asking himself just now, what should he do if Ma Xiaozu and Zhou Qingqing really did it to his daughter? Send them to the police station? Accusing them of murder, wounding and domestic violence? Is he going to sue his wife for murder? Doesn't that son also have a mother? But how could he bear to hurt Xiaoi again? He didn't know what to do. Just then, several police officers came down from the abandoned building to collect evidence, and they handed the photos to Officer Feng. "It's not just about chasing and taking pictures. The mirror and corner of the bathroom on the 4th floor where classmate Chen Yi hid had blood written on it. I got a set of photos with the words help written in blood all over them." The crooked handwriting clearly showed Chen Yi's panic at the time. The bathroom door was kicked open, and the footprints were compared. It was Wang Shu and others. Chen Yi escaped through the window, and there were her footprints and blood stains on the window sill. Everyone gasped. It is conceivable that if such a fat girl was not forced to the extreme end, how could she risk her life and climb out of the 4th floor window? Doesn't she know that if she is a little negligent, her life will be gone? Therefore, Chen Yi was forced to a dead end and had no choice but to climb to the terrace. How could she be so scared if she just took pictures? How could she be so injured just by taking pictures? This is why when the physical education teacher arrived, he saw 3 little ruffians forcing Chen Yi, who was already in danger. Judging from various signs, Wang Shu and others are indeed suspected of murder. Even if there was no murderous intention, it was almost a big mistake and extremely bad bullying. "Take them away," Officer Feng said. "Take Ma Xiaozu and Zhou Qingqing away together for investigation." Also designated to be taken away to cooperate with the investigation were the physical education teacher and head teacher. Chen Jian was about to rush to the hospital, but he became angry again. He saw the dean and a group of teachers driving all the students who were watching to the large conference room to speak. Its purpose is self-evident. To seal it. Whether my daughter is in trouble or not, this matter is not over yet. Don't think that you can get away with it by hiding your eyes from others. Chen Jian clenched his fists. The school cannot escape the responsibility for poor supervision. I will not give up. How could Chen Jian not be angry? He had communicated with the head teacher, but the head teacher not only failed to tell his daughter about being bullied, but also made her unable to support her at all times, saying that everything was her daughter's own problem. What kind of school is this and what kind of teachers are there? Principal Cai wiped the sweat from his forehead and said that he will definitely fulfill the responsibilities of a principal. This time, the school will be responsible for all Chen Yi's expenses. He will coordinate all issues and ask Wang Shu and several classmates to come to apologize and compensate. I will try my best to protect Chen Yi from now on, but please Chen Yi's father give the school a chance and let's sit down and talk. Tao Ran was in the hospital when he woke up. Night has fallen. The person standing guard by the bed was Chen Jian. He propped his head on his elbows, frowning, with a look of pain on his face. Am I dead? Tao Ran said coldly. Xiaoi, you finally woke up. Chen Jian burst into tears again. You're not dead. You fell on the air mattress and just fainted. Don't worry, Dad is here and you will be fine. Dad will definitely protect you from now on. How long have I been sleeping? Tao Ran was too lazy to respond to Chen Jian's words. Been asleep for 5 hours. That long? It was quiet outside the ward, and Chen Yuxin couldn't scream. Why are there no police? No media? Is this all settled? This body is too messy. According to her original plan, she had to go all the way to the end. Now there should be reporters waiting to interview her inside and outside, police officers should be everywhere to maintain order, and even hot searches should be included. She was grinding her teeth, but she didn't want to spend so much time in vain. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 155. Chen Jian wiped away tears. Xiaoi, don't do stupid things in the future. If you have anything to do, just tell Dad directly. Dad will definitely be on your side. After the doctor examined his daughter, he found that there were several wounds on her back, all of which were holes poked by pens. One of the eyes was suppurated, and there was a broken pen tip inside. When my daughter was in a coma, the doctor took out the pen. Chen Jian looked at the piece of writing and the sunken hole in his daughter's back that could never be restored, and his heart was so painful that it bled. How painful it is. When my daughter was bullied, no one helped or believed me. How helpless it must be. At that time, he secretly vowed to make it up to his daughter. Where are those people? Has this matter been settled? Tao Ran was not focused on the love between father and daughter. She just wanted to know why no police or reporters came to question her. The police station hasn't finished questioning you yet. The police are still investigating. You are unconscious. In order to let you have a good rest, Dad asked the police to come back later. Chen Jian sighed quietly. This case is not easy to try. The daughter, wife, stepdaughter, and a few gangsters all have different opinions, and there is little evidence, so the progress is very slow. In addition, the police have to investigate bullying and domestic violence at the same time, so until now, both Wang Shu and Ma Xiaozu, mother and daughter, are still recording statements at the police station. Xiaoi, don't be afraid. Dad is asking you, really. Dad, I'm so hungry. I want to eat. Tao Ran touched his stomach. Can you buy me something delicious? She interrupted directly. Okay. What do you want to eat? Chen Jian took out his mobile phone. You are weak, Dad will give you a trick to jump over the wall. Dad knows the chef of a 5-star hotel, let him. Dad, I just want to eat sushi and bento from the convenience store. Steamed buns and oden are also fine, and preferably a grilled sausage. Can you buy them for me? But it was rare that his daughter was willing to speak. Seeing her pleading eyes, he really wanted to go. But he was afraid that his daughter would be confused again. But you are sick and you can't live without someone around you. Dad, seeing you by my side, I suddenly didn't want to die. In fact, I regretted it when I jumped. I won't do stupid things again. I still have to take care of Grandma. Really, Chen Jian was overjoyed. Yeah. I was impulsive during the day. Okay, that's good. Chen was convinced. Otherwise, my daughter wouldn't have said so many things she wanted to eat in one go, right? There is nothing to kill yourself in this room, so you can rest assured. Dad, don't you want to go? It doesn't matter, I can buy it myself. Chen Yi sat up, but she hissed, her hands seemed to hurt, and lay back down. You kid, your hands are injured and you can't get up yet. Lie down quickly. Chen Jian was relieved. His daughter's body was so weak that she couldn't even get up. What was he so worried about? Lie still, Daddy will go buy it right now. Okay. I just want to sleep for a while. After saying that, Chen Yi closed her eyes. Chen Jian left, walked a few steps and felt uneasy, and then came back to look at it again. When he saw his daughter sleeping peacefully, he trotted away. He worked as fast as he could, and 15 minutes later, he returned to the ward carrying a large plastic bag. But there's no one else on the bed? His heart sank and he almost sat down. Nurse, where are the people in this room? She said she was hungry, so I saw her fetching water from a cup of noodles. I watched her enter the water room. Chen Jian turned around and saw that the cup noodles he bought for bed were no longer on the bedside table. He rushed to the water room. Under the water machine, there was only an instant noodle standing there alone. How could there be anyone there? The corridor was empty, and there was no one at all. Chen Jian was frightened and started looking for him like crazy. Chen Yi left the ward 5 minutes ago. She looked at the hospital floor plan and took the stairs. She chose a corridor where she had no chance of running into Chen Jian and changed to a different ward. She went to talk to 2 cleaners who were talking while working. Ask them if they know which floor the girl from number 1 middle school who jumped from the building lived on. Was sent to the hospital today. Jump off a building? A middle school student? Is there such a thing? I haven't heard of it. Is it true? I didn't hear about it either. We took over in the afternoon, so we didn't know anything about it. Tao Ran, really, a girl in the 2nd grade of junior high school was sent in the afternoon. She jumped from the 5th floor of the school. It has been spread all over the school. There is no mistake. That is my classmate. I am anxious to see her. Why did you dance? I heard it was school violence, and maybe my stepmother hired the murderer. The police arrested everyone. Do you really not know? My dear, are you so poisonous? Let me help you ask. The person Tao Ran chose was indeed very gossipy, and he took the initiative to go to the nearest nurse station to help her question her. Several young girls at the nurse station said they didn't know. Only one nurse said, it should be the one who arrived in the ambulance in the afternoon. He was accompanied by 2 policemen at the time. He was in the 10th ward, but they only said that he fell from a high altitude. Suicidal tendencies. I'm not sure about the specifics. This kind of thing is quite sensitive and it's hard to talk about it. Since it hasn't been reported, it probably hasn't been decided yet. Let's not spread it to the outside world yet. Tao Ran withdrew. Haha, obviously, it was covered up. Even people in the hospital don't know, so it's even less likely that the outside world will know. So, where did the media reporters come to interview her? Those guys headed by the school would not let her cause trouble at all. It didn't go well. The cheap daddy has been persuaded to settle the matter. Taoranruo is now Chen Yi, just a junior high school student, so there is really nothing he can do. It's a pity that this time, she decided to be stubborn to the end. Guessing that Chen Jian would start looking for someone from the inpatient department, Taoran went directly to the emergency room. After entering a small store, she borrowed the phone from a sister who was browsing Weibo, checked the city section of Weibo, and searched for keywords such as number 1 middle school, jumping off a building, and murder. Sure enough, nothing like what happened today. School is really stressful. She took $100 bill from her pocket, bought a piece of bread, and opened the money. She took this money from Chen Jian's bag to take a taxi when she just came out of the ward. She originally thought that if the police didn't come to her door, she would send them to her door herself. Now, she decided to do something else first. She found a public phone booth, put in her coins and dialed a familiar phone number. "Hello, welcome to the traffic radio station's Urban Night Home program team. Would you like to request a song or tell a story about your mood? Hello, I like your program very much. I have a mood story today that I want to share with the host, and I want to ask for the guidance and help of brother Xianan and sister 11. Taoran's line skills are quite good, and she said one sentence. It sounds so good that even the radio director was surprised. Okay, please wait for 2 minutes. After the song is finished, we will switch to the live broadcast. Thank you, sister. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 156. People Returning at Night in the City is a program that Chen Yi often listens to. Chen Yi does not have a mobile phone and there is no TV in her room at home. Every night in the dead of night, she lay in bed unable to sleep, so she could only listen to the radio. She likes this show, not only because the host has a very upright outlook, but mainly because there are many stories about ordinary people in this show. Through the program, she can hear many joys, sorrows, and joys, and even those warm, simple, cute, and touching blessings are what she likes. Because those happen to be things that she didn't have in her life. She knew the phone number of that program by heart. Every year on her grandma's birthday, she would send her blessings through the radio, even though grandma was usually already asleep at that time. Taoran feels that this media is very suitable for Chen Yi now. Soon, her call was taken into the live broadcast room. Welcome this friend. Hello, brother Nan. Hello, sister 11. I'm a big fan of the show. Wow. What a beautiful voice. She sounds very young. What is your name? My name is Xiaoi. Today I want to share a story. I also want to ask sister Nan Gexi to give me some advice. I also want to ask the listeners in front of the radio to help me make suggestions. Taoran got straight to the point and was mainly anti-customer. It was rare for the two hosts to encounter such an audience that did not require guidance. When they heard that these were fans of their own show, they naturally became more enthusiastic. Something happened to me recently. Something bad happened. Taoran's voice suddenly became serious. I was domestically/violated. This sentence directly dropped a bombshell. Even the choreographer, who was thinking about what song to arrange next, suddenly raised his head. My stepmother beat and scolded me without telling my biological father. I couldn't hold on any longer. The words domestic violence and stepmother are very sensitive. When the host heard this, he sat upright and became concerned. Taoran Balabala simplified her accusation against Ma Zioza this afternoon into a 2-minute story and told it in one breath. Of course she couldn't just say that she had attempted to jump off a building and needed to seek help because she was silenced by public opinion. The radio station is also a media. Can it be so bold as to help her seek justice? So she had to find another entry point. Such as domestic violence, such as the relationship between stepmother and stepdaughter. This kind of point is more common among the people. It is easy to attract listeners, trigger resonance, and win sympathy and sympathy. It is also a topic that radio stations are absolutely willing to help. Sure enough, the two hosts were filled with indignation, especially after asking her and finding out that she was only a junior high school student. Classmate Sci-Fi, when encountering domestic violence, we must bravely say no. That's right, my father doesn't believe you. You can ask the teacher for help, ask the street office for help, or we can help you contact the rescue center. Bara. The host gave a few words of encouragement, but Taoran paused for 3 seconds. I called the police today. Then what? The hosts asked all at once, their appetites whetted. Actually, I haven't said the most important thing yet. Brothers and sisters, can you give me 2 more minutes? Taoran cried again, which sounded inexplicably heart-wrenching. You say. The outside directors also nodded. Their programs all introduce social topics, and the lights in thousands of homes naturally come in various shapes. The little girl was sober and logical, and her words were fascinating. If the little girl hadn't revealed strong emotions in every word she said, they would have thought that someone had deliberately made up a story for fun. Those who listen to stories every day are attracted, not to mention ordinary listeners. I also knew that the listening rate at this moment must be at a high point, as the signal on the director console kept flashing. In the past few minutes, the external phone lines in front of the director have been busy. They are all enthusiastic listeners who came to give the little girl advice, want to comfort the little girl, and even ask the little girl to give some specific information, so that they can help. At this time, let alone 2 minutes, even 5 minutes must be given. The little girl's humble request was heartbreaking, and the host's sister 11 asked her to just speak slowly. Taoran grinned. I'm asking my brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, grandparents who are listening to the program to help me. Can you post what I'm going to say next on Weibo or the internet? Help me with it or ask for help from some media that can help me. I don't have a mother, and my father can't help me, so I can only ask you for help. Everything I say is true, and I can be responsible for my words. Here, I would like to thank you in advance. Taoran carefully considered his words and deliberately put his request first. Otherwise, if those sensitive issues were raised first and the radio station was afraid of causing trouble, it would directly block her signal. Wouldn't her trouble be in vain? Sure enough, the host thought that what she was going to say was still about domestic violence, and he was still encouraging her to speak out bravely. Then, that's embarrassing. I was bullied again today, and I only found out today that the guy who has been bullying me was instigated by my stepmother. Taoran's speaking speed began to speed up, and at the same time, emotions were injected into him, and his crying voice appeared again. Those people are not afraid of anything, and no one can control them. As the mastermind, my stepmother gave birth to a son for my father, and my father can't do anything to her, so when I come home, my stepmother will still deal with me. I have tried my best to fight. Bala, Taoran told everything about what happened today, including her fall. Don't think I'm lying. I'm currently in room 1245, Ward 10, Inpatient Department, People's Hospital. I'm from number 1 middle school. She quickly gave her general information. Today's incident has caused quite a stir, and all my classmates know about it. Just ask around and you will find out. Classmate Sci-Fi, wait a minute. You just said. The host asked, but Taoran didn't stop. But no one even in the hospital knows about this. I really don't know what to do. If this continues, I will still be dead. She spoke very fast, and the host tried to interrupt several times but failed. I don't know who can take care of those bad guys. I beg the host not to hang up on me. I beg all the uncles and aunties who are listening to the show to help me. Help me find an agency that can take care of domestic violence, my stepmother, and those bad guys. Help me find the media to expose it, at least help me spread it, or go to Weiboite to contact the official, and help me call and complain. Taoran didn't finish his sentence. Because the person she was talking to had changed from the host to the previous conductor, she knew that she had been ejected live on the radio station. To be expected. She has no regrets. In fact, she has basically said all the important points she wanted to say. It was already good enough to pinch her until now. My cough is very, very serious. These are all words I typed while coughing. I also really want to read 10 or 8 chapters in one breath, but the story is all in my head and I have to type it out manually one by one. It's too hard. Oh, the heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 157. Chen Yi's voice was cut out of the live broadcast. I'm sorry Xiaoi, our radio station is a public media and must be responsible to the listeners. Before verifying what you just said, we can only interrupt the contact between you and the host. I hope you can understand. That director is pretty good. Do you have anything else to say? I can record it for you first. As long as I verify the truth of what you said, I will ask my colleagues from the social news department to help you and help you next. Okay. Taoran heard the director sigh softly. Our program team will try our best to help. The director lowered his voice, and Taoran could hear her distress. Sister director, what I said is true. I can take responsibility for everything I just said. Sister director, I know you are under pressure, but if you can, I beg you to help me. I even jumped off the building, but it's still useless. I really tried my best. I just ran out of the ward with a lot of effort, and now I'm calling for help from a public phone. No one can help me. You are the media I trust most. I can only turn to you for help now. You can see my phone number, and you can check it to see if it's from the hospital. I really don't want to die, Weevu. Taoran didn't know that the radio station had already cut a song into the live broadcast, and the two hosts had taken off their microphones and ran to the outside studio. When they heard what she said, the male host was silent and the female host was red-eyed. Although it has not been completely confirmed, they subconsciously feel that classmate Xiaoi is not lying. After all, it is a human life. What Xiaoi said is critical. If it is true, but they are missed because of fear, how can they feel so proud? Go. And they've checked that call, and it's indeed from the hospital. Ignoring the flashing phone lights on the operating table for the time being, the three of them each took out their mobile phones. One contacted a familiar reporter to inquire, one opened a group on the stage to inquire, and the third called a well-connected person. Old friend. Taoran didn't believe that in this situation, who else could completely cover up the matter. Even though not many people listen to radio these days, the city they live in is still a second-tier city with a total population of several million, and the traffic station is the favorite channel of local drivers, so through the airwaves, her story has undoubtedly begun to spread. She believed that there would always be some kind people willing to help her. Indeed, except for a few people from the radio program team, there are actually quite a few people who have troubles in their hearts and want to do something. Some drivers stopped their cars and called 110 directly, some called the People's Hospital to ask if there was Xiaoi in the 10th ward of the inpatient department, some called the city police station to ask how the matter of Xiaoi was handled. Some listeners of the program are calling the radio station to inquire about the follow-up. Some people are starting to ask their children in number 1 middle school whether this is really the case, and some parents who have already heard about this from the children who have been silenced but have been burdened with it are starting to reflect again and think about it. Does it count as encouraging evil forces if you help cover it up yourself? Online, the official website of the communications station was crowded with too many people. The audio source of tonight's program has been intercepted in large quantities, and some people have begun to post it on Weibo and tag a number of important domestic official media. Some people who were touched edited Xiaoi's radio voice and prepared to publish it online. Well-informed reporters have also begun to take action. There is enough material here, and you can make a topic by picking just one item. Some of them went to the police station, some to the hospital. When Chen Yi was unconscious, the police station's interrogation continued. But no matter how she was asked, Ma Xiaozu denied all the accusations. Where's the evidence? Did she say she was a victim of domestic violence? Where is the evidence? Who saw it? Who heard it? What about the hospital certificate? That she paid to kill someone? Where is the evidence? Can't you even admit it to the three scoundrels? Want to convict her based on nothing but one person's words? She is not afraid. Don't be afraid of lawsuits. So even though Chen Jian had allowed her mother and daughter to be taken to the police station without caring about them at all, Ma Xiaozu was not very panicked. Stepdaughters are naturally hostile to their stepmothers. What Chen Yi said is unbelievable. Moreover, the child has always been withdrawn. All relatives, friends, teachers, and classmates know this. You can check this. Such a child, she already has mental problems. How can she believe what she says? Not only did Ma Xiaozu deny everything, but Zhou Qingqing also overturned the previous statement. Regarding her previous statement in public that she lent Wang Shu more than 1,000 yuan, she also completely changed her story. Actually, I am also a victim. I didn't borrow the money willingly, but they forced me to give it. They often do this, and they do it every day when they take away the money and belongings of my classmates. Uncle Police, you guys go to school and give it to me. Just ask. Today they stopped me and told me that if I didn't pay them, they would take photos of me like they did my sister. As soon as I was scared, I took out more than 1,000 yuan to buy a massager for my grandma, hoping to ask Wang Shu to let my sister and I go. Probably because my sister saw that scene, she misunderstood and thought that everything was instigated by me. How could I do that? She and I have always had a very good relationship, as all the teachers and classmates can testify. Every time when she is bullied, I am the only one who stands up to her. If you don't believe it, just ask and find out. Zhou Qingqing just brushed it off. Then why did you lie earlier and say you lent the money to Wang Shu? I'm not like my sister. I'm afraid of Wang Shu's revenge, so I didn't tell the truth. This lie was told by Ma Xiaozu and Zhou Qingqing. My daughter is having a great life and her youthful years, how can there be any blemishes? How could he be involved with the gangster who might be going in at any time? And only in this way can they completely cut off their suspicion of persecuting Chen Yi. Therefore, Ma Xiaozu almost died when she heard her daughter was forced to talk nonsense in the afternoon. After being taken to the police station, she found an opportunity to tell her daughter that she must say it again. Not only could she not be said to have lent money to Wang Shu, but she also had to use the money to make the ruffians show mercy for her sister. If it doesn't work, just say that the gangsters are blackmailing her, and she gave the money because she was afraid. As soon as Zhou Qingqing said this, Wang Shu and others jumped. How? In the end, did all the blame really fall back on them? Did they add another crime of extortion? Zhou Qingqing, you'd better think of your answer, Wang Shu gritted his teeth. Zhou Qingqing was under great pressure and cried loudly. She imitated Chen Yi's behavior in the afternoon, pretending to be frightened and helpless due to persecution, holding her head and shaking. Ma Xiaozu's mind was spinning quickly and she held her daughter in her arms distressedly. Poor child. Why didn't you tell your mother earlier? No wonder you have become so thin recently because you can't eat or sleep. So, This is what you have been doing recently. Is that why you always take money from your mother? Do they often blackmail you? Do they beat you? Comrade police, I want to sue them too. Sue them for extorting and bullying my children. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 158. At this time, several school leaders also stepped in at the right time. They really don't want any homicide or suicide to happen. Whenever the word kill is used, it will greatly affect the school. This kind of thing cannot happen in school. So Mazioza completely denied it. They were happy to hold prejudices, and then pointed out that Wang Shu and others had indeed been bullying their classmates in various ways. But bullying is possible, but when it comes to killing, it is definitely not. In fact, after some investigation, the police station did not find conclusive evidence that Wang Shu and others committed murder. There were no witnesses of the murder. Even the physical education teacher and classmates only saw Wang Shu and Chen Yi confronting each other on the roof of the building. There were tens of meters between them, which didn't make sense. Second, there is no surveillance or other evidence to prove that all clues can only point to one side running and the other chasing, and there may not necessarily be a kill action. Third, the murder weapon was not found. I searched all around the school's abandoned buildings, but couldn't find even a dagger. Chen Yi also ran to the top floor by herself, not Wang Shu and the others who led her there. In addition, Wang Shu and the others' mobile phones contained KTV records of 3 people's reservations. They also made appointments with people outside the school, saying they would climb over the wall and go out to have fun together after the physical education get out of class was over. The words he spoke were relaxed and exciting, but it really didn't sound like he had any intention to kill. Mazioza said. Comrade police officer, I think the most important thing today is to give Chen Yi a mental evaluation first. Mazioza really thinks so. Isn't that dead kid crazy? Otherwise, how could it be like a different person? And murder? Fortunately she could figure it out. Looking at that girl's condition today, she is not mentally ill but also depressed, right? As long as he is found to be sick, the accusation against him will naturally be overturned. Then she can be more generous and not argue with a mental patient. At this point, Wang Shu and others also expressed strong support. They also said together that Chen Yi did have a mental problem. They were just chasing her for fun, but she got into a chase incident. Maybe she was suffering from schizophrenia, delusional disorder, mania. When Chen Yi was in coma, several leaders from the school visited the hospital. They did a lot of ideological work with Chen Jian, hoping that Chen Jian could make big things smaller. The school will give Chen Yi the greatest care in the future, including all aspects. The school will also come forward to negotiate with the parents of Wang Shu and the other 3 to ask them to provide certain financial compensation to Chen Yi. Chen Jian said that after his daughter woke up, he respected his daughter's wishes. The school was relieved to see that he was not as tough as he was in the afternoon, saying he would sue to the end. To deal with this parent, the police can tell them anything as long as it is not a criminal case. After handling it in a low-key manner, this matter will be over. Therefore, after the school kept silent about the students, the matter did not spread quickly. Chen Jian's acquiescence was not because of Ma Zioza's mother, daughter, and son, but mainly for his daughter. My daughter is very sensitive and in a bad mental state. This matter has become known to everyone, and the daughter is the one who is hurt the most. After all, he still has to go back to school and get along with others in the society. If it makes a big fuss and is pushed to the top of public opinion, he is afraid that his daughter will not be able to bear it, and he is also afraid that the label of victim will follow her for the rest of her life. And if those ugly photos are spread out, how will the children accept them? Therefore, Chen Jian also felt that this matter should be handled in a low-key manner, so he acquiesced to the school's attitude. Because of this, when Tao Ran woke up, she realized that the thing she had put so much effort into had not been exposed at all. How could she be willing to do this? In the end, her troubles caused the matter to escalate quickly. So, when Chen Jian frantically searched for his daughter in the hospital, and finally received a call and hurried back to the ward, he found his daughter sitting on the bed crying, and several reporters were already standing around her. At the same time, the police station's phone kept ringing, with greetings coming from above, from the common people, from the media, and from all sides. The cell phones of several school leaders also kept ringing. Seeing a series of strange phone calls, they didn't dare to answer them at all. On Weibo, because of the media's involvement, it fermented quickly. The parents of number 1 middle school have heard about this for a long time. Although they dare not face the camera to expose it, it does not prevent them from expressing support online. They couldn't believe that there were so many villains in their children's school, and they were worried and angry. They couldn't accept that such a big thing had just disappeared without causing any waves, and not a single one of it was exposed in the local news. How chilling. So if something like this happens to your own children in the future, how will you and your children feel helpless and miserable? Parents also secretly began to help raise their voices online. Several parents of bullied children even formed a small group and raised a sum of money to directly buy the popularity. With the help of public accounts, several topics about this matter have appeared, and have been forwarded and followed by big vs. In the middle of the night, this incident finally occupied the top trending search. When Chen Jian rushed back to the ward, Tao Ran had already told reporters about her. Several reporters were also lamenting and stated that they would seek verification. No matter what the outcome of the incident was, they would fulfill their responsibilities as media people and report the whole story. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I am willing to speak out bravely. I hope that all violence can disappear from our side as soon as possible. I hope that domestic violence can be banned, and I hope that all minors can be protected. Tao Ran did not refuse the camera and also used her original voice. I ask the society to help us. I hope we can have a learning and living environment where we can grow up healthily. Her voice trembled and she sobbed, on behalf of all the minors who are being bullied, thank you all. After that, she insisted on getting out of bed and bowed to the camera. A passage that made several reporters sore their noses and made their eyes red. Don't worry, little girl, we will code it for you. We also want to thank you for having the courage to come forward. Xiaoi. The reporter left, and Chen Jian began to wipe his tears again. Why don't you wait until Dad comes? You may have to face a lot after this matter gets big. Have you thought about it? Can you accept it? After returning from the future, can Chen Yi accept that her past has been talked about and that she herself has become a representative for vulnerable minors? Of course Tao Ran had thought about this. No one hopes that they will become famous for something like this, but they hold back because they are afraid. She thought of Chen Yi's wishes, the first of which was to live well and never be knocked down easily again. Her understanding of this is that Chen Yi wants to become truly powerful. In Tao Ran's view, becoming strong requires a process. Facing it bravely is the first step, not escaping. Only when you face and accept your current self with an open mind can you bravely move forward step by step. In the plot, Chen Yi committed suicide precisely because her heart was not strong enough. On the contrary, it makes enemies happy and relatives painful. So now that she is here, let her accompany Chen Yi to strengthen herself. Tao Ran feels that being able to get up in the eyes of everyone and go higher and further after encountering setbacks and grievances is truly powerful and can be admired by more people. In addition, if I can help some students like Chen Yi by coming forward this time, it will be meaningful. So this time, let her speak out bravely. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 159. After the police heard that Chen Yi had woken up, they came over again to give a statement and brought a psychologist to give Chen Yi a mental test. The test results came out. Of course there was no problem. He is a bit introverted, but does not have any mental illness. Tao Ran didn't say much, just looked at Chen Ji calmly. As long as I am sick, then all the accusations I have made against her will not count, right? Dad, do you really still believe her? Chen Jian opened his mouth. After 2 days, he was already stupid. He felt like he was going to have a schizophrenia. In front of her daughter, Ma Xiaozu showed all kinds of signs that she was a downright vicious stepmother. So much so that he shuddered a little when he thought of her now. But he subconsciously felt that Ma Xiaozu would not go that far. Domestic violence. Paying a murderer? He really didn't believe it. But he couldn't suppress his suspicion of Ma Xiaozu. He felt that he was blind and could no longer tell the truth from the false. Tao Ran smiled lightly. This man was inherently indecisive and soft-spoken, otherwise he would not have been manipulated by Ma Xiaozu and his daughter. Such a person is very lucky to be able to run a company well. In addition, the police also informed the father and daughter of the investigation results, saying that Wang Shu's motive and direction of the murder were not sufficient to conclusively identify him as a murder suspect. Tao Ran had expected this. The so-called murder is just nonsense driven by her excitement. There is no real evidence at all. If she can really rely on words, sending people to jail is the real tragedy of society. So, after thinking about it with a sad face for 2 minutes, she frowned and said, "Is it because I was too scared and nervous at the time, and they were too arrogant and pursued me so hard? When I heard them say they wanted to kill me, I believed it." This is all she can do. Otherwise, if the police see that she was deliberately wronged, everything will be lost. The police officer nodded and asked about domestic violence. Chen Yi bluntly said that she had no evidence. Every time she was bullied, she had no money, no time, and no chance to call the police or go to the hospital. Because of this, her stepmother and stepsisters became more and more unscrupulous towards her. The police gave Chen Jian a good education and scolded him for his poor supervision. Chen Jian thought it was right and said he would never let these things happen again in the future. Before the police left, they informed them that Ma Xiaozu and her daughter were very separate. No evidence or witnesses have been found to connect Zhou Qingqing and Wang Shu. There is no way to prove that Zhou Qingqing instigated yesterday's incident, so there should be no way to continue the investigation. Judging from all the evidence now, the only 2 points that can be continued to be traced are the injury caused by Wang Shu and several people to Chen Yi and the fall from the building. The evidence is considered conclusive. This was something Tao Ran expected. Zhou Qingqing disguised herself so well in front of teachers and classmates, so she must have worked hard not to leave any clues. If Wang Shu really had a way to bite Zhou Qingqing to death, yesterday's accident should have been exposed as soon as possible. In this regard, Tao Ran is not disappointed. She spent so much time trying to involve Ma Xiaozu and her daughter. Did she really want to convict them? No. She doesn't have the ability to just rely on her words without evidence. So what she wanted from the beginning was just to ruin their reputation and kill them. Legal trials require evidence, and she cannot fabricate it. But as long as she makes a big enough fuss, no matter whether it is true or false, it will be enough for them to accept the trial from the people. Use the people's and secular standards of vision to determine right and wrong. Before, they isolated Chen Yi and made Chen Yi suffer helplessly. This time, they were isolated. We'll see. Chen Jian stayed with his daughter all night, explaining, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, and didn't even answer Ma Xiaozu's call. Tao Ran felt that although Chen Yi might not hate his father, it would be too easy for him to forgive him so easily. So she just let herself go, pretending to be in a rice field, lying on a rocking chair, imagining his noisy voice as the sound of frogs, but didn't say a word. Her indifference naturally made Chen Jian feel more guilty, and he stated in a low voice that from now on, he would take good care of her and not let her be wronged. He also asked her what she thought about the future, and he would try his best to satisfy her. What idea? Tao Ran was thinking about it too. She came here in a hurry yesterday, and as soon as she entered Chen Yi's body, she was being chased. She didn't even have time to take advantage of it. The trouble with this mission was the word underage, which meant she didn't even have the right to move out of the house and live on her own. Right now, she doesn't have the ability to take care of her grandma. The best way is to wait until she turns 16. Oh my gosh, there's still more than a year to go. Did she have to stay up for that long? So the witch gave her a piece of advice before she came over: don't worry about the speed of time. After a night of fermentation, by the next day, yesterday's incident had already spread to a lot of people. Especially in the second half of the night, Tao Ran's sincere plea became a hot topic in the media, and several celebrities with children also retweeted it on Weibo, making the matter even more popular. On the internet, although the serious official media did not express its position, it alarmed the local media. The school is under increasing pressure and sincerely stated that it would cooperate with the police in a thorough investigation. The Three Tyrants family, who originally planned to solve the problem by taking advantage of the fact that all parties wanted to make a big deal out of a small matter, could no longer sit still. Among the three, Uncle Tan Chao has some power in the local area. Usually he can ask for help to suppress this matter, but this time he failed to cover it up, so that his uncle directly flirted with him. There was nothing he could do about it. In this way, even if the three little ruffians want to reconcile, it is no longer possible. The three of them were completely panicked. Especially Lu Hua. Unlike Wang Shu, who is still 2 months away from turning 14, and Tan Xiao, who is on the first day of the new year this year, he is the oldest among the three. He is already over 14 years old. According to the standards of his country's juvenile delinquents, he is 10 years old. 4 years old is exactly the right line, and the punishment standards are different. Therefore, in order to seek a lenient treatment, under the guidance of the police, he directly provided counter-evidence and exposed the bad things that several people had done in the past. In less than a day, several internal cliques in the school were uncovered. Chen Yi has been adapted into multiple versions of the story because of her brave fight against violence. In addition, the video that has been widely circulated on the internet calling for the courage to say no to violence has become a story in the hearts of many people. A role model for speaking up. Chen Yi was discharged from the hospital and went home on the afternoon of the second day after the incident. I can't stay in the hospital any longer. There are too many people coming and going. All kinds of media, all kinds of enthusiastic people, and many people who like melon. Anyway, her goal was achieved. She didn't want to be an internet celebrity or show her face, so she decided to leave the hospital early. Go home. Chen Jian asked her what she meant, saying that in the next few days, he would be unable to take care of her at work, and asked her if she wanted to stay with her aunt for a while. Tao Ran refused. Why? Internal injury and autism. The desire to survive is still there, but the previous chapter where the heroine asks for help from the radio station is still banned. I spent the whole day yesterday revising the article. I hope this one will be safe. If that still doesn't work, this chapter will have to be fast-forwarded. Oh, thank you all for your support, thank you for your monthly votes, and thank you for your rewards. Momo loves you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 160. Tao Ran does not plan to move out of the original owner's home. Even though Father Chen made the suggestion based on many concerns. But still no. Don't have a home to live in? Going to seek refuge with relatives? Why? According to previous reports, she was the eldest daughter of her original wife, with pure blood, and a legitimate eldest lady. She should stay at Chen's house. Why should she leave? Whoever can't stay will leave, whoever can't stand it will leave, whoever can't stand it will leave, but she won't leave anyway. It's not easy to conquer the country. What if she gives it up and her opponent takes back the gains? And as long as she is around, many people will feel uncomfortable. She just likes to stand in the eyes of those people and appreciate the way they look down on her but can't kill her. She's not afraid anyway. The matter had gotten so big that for a while, even if she broke the whole world, the mother and daughter didn't dare to do anything to her. In this case, she will naturally go home and become an ant. Of course, she didn't forget to act in front of Chen Jian and act pitiful, which made Chen Jian extremely distressed. After you return home, your father will find you a separate nanny who will be responsible for your food, clothing, and daily life. There is also safety. You should have a good rest these days. Don't rush to school. Take good care of your health first. The father of Wang Shu and the others will not let them go. If you don't like this school now, let's change it. If you have this wish, Dad will help you find a better private school tomorrow. If you still want to stay in the current school, Dad will also help you directly talk to the principal. The school needs something from us. If you have any requests, just ask them. Think about this first. From now on, when you go to school, you won't be with Zhou Qingqing. Dad will take you there personally. If Dad is on a business trip, he will ask the driver to take you there. If you have no money in the future, just tell Dad. Dad will open an account for you tomorrow and transfer money to you regularly in the future. You can manage the money by yourself. Dad will buy you a mobile phone later. If you have anything to do in the future, you can contact Dad directly. Your dad hasn't talked to stepmother yet, but today he will definitely ask her and Qingqing to give you an explanation. On the way home, Chen Jian kept talking. Dad. Tao Ran interrupted her. I can do anything. She has the ability to protect herself. But what about Grandma? What I said yesterday was not a random fabrication. Our family is rich. After my mother died, you were a diamond bachelor at that time. Many people should want to get close to you. Do you really not feel that Ma Xiaozu has a purpose for you? It's understandable that they want to climb up, but if they go to any lengths to harm our loved ones, I absolutely cannot accept it. If she hadn't been a minor, didn't even have an ID card, and couldn't do anything, she wouldn't have expected her father to say anything about whether he could do it or not. I understand. Dad will find someone to investigate the past. Also, Tao Ran's gaze shifted from Chen Jian to the window. Whether you believe it or not, Zhou Qingqing once made fun of Grandma in front of me. They know that Grandma is my weakness, so I hope you can protect Grandma. Although he was not sure whether this father could do it, Tao Ran couldn't help but give him a reminder. Chen Jian felt uncomfortable again when he saw his daughter's disappointed expression. I'll find another caregiver for your grandma. It'll be fine. Got home. Chen Jian drove into the underground garage. Tao Ran didn't want to wait for him and went straight upstairs. Tisk. Look, this well-decorated apartment has 2 floors, a good location, good security, and a good environment. With 5 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, the Chen family is in really good condition. Chen Jian is rich, easy to cheat, and obedient. And what about her, Ma Xiaozu? I heard that her ex-husband was not a good person and often stayed away from home. Ma Xiaozu finally got divorced and all her money was taken away. As someone who has nothing but a slutty daughter, how can she hold on to a fool like Chen Jian? Early this morning, Ma Xiaozu and Zhou Qingqing were called to the police station for questioning, so Tao Ran knew that they were not at home. After pressing my fingerprint, the door beeped twice and opened. As soon as Chao Ran opened the door and walked in, he heard two voices. A middle-aged female voice said, "Good boy, Xiao Chao, eat something first. You haven't eaten yet today." A childish voice, "I don't want to eat. I have to wait for my mother and sister Ching Ching to come back." Woo. Mom and sister don't have anything to eat, so they must be hungry. When will Dad come back? Mom cooked it for him this morning. The ginseng chicken soup is still warm in the pot. Good boy, little Chow, don't cry. If you're hungry, your parents will feel sorry for you. Look, Aunt has made you your favorite ribs, chicken wings, and prawns. Try it. I can't eat it. My mother is so pitiful. She kept crying after she came back in the middle of the night yesterday, saying that her eldest sister had wronged her and her father didn't believe her. She felt so wronged. She is such a good person, how could she do bad things? Yes, who doesn't know your mother's character? She cared so much about your eldest sister, who would have thought that she would be wronged by your eldest sister? Being a stepmother is not easy, and the most difficult, thankless one is your mother. And, I want to find my mother. Please take me to find my mother and ask my mother to come back soon. I don't want to see my mother cry anymore. When my mother cries, I want to cry too. I don't even want to eat, woo. Tisk, Chao Ran sneered and walked to the entrance with his arms crossed. The two people talking were Chen Xiao, the 6-year-old son of Ma Xiaozu and Chen Jian, and Ma Xiaozu's cousin Zhou Na. There was chaos yesterday and no one at home took care of Chen Xiao, so Chen Jian asked Zhou Na to take care of the child. Chao Ran leaned against the entrance and interrupted directly, "It's me. It's not my dad. Your all-in-one drama is in vain. Wipe your tears quickly. Don't tell me to watch a joke." It was obvious that the two of them heard the knock on the door and thought Chen Jian was back, so they deliberately told Chen Jian. The two of them were exposed and their eyes widened in anger. Zhou Na stretched her neck to take a look, but no, she only saw the arrogant Chen Yi, but no trace of Chen Jian. She felt angry instantly. Who is acting? Don't talk nonsense. Then you are probably deaf and didn't hear me opening the door. Zhou Na huffed. Chen Jian has refused to show up since yesterday. Ma Xiaozu and her daughter are unsure of what to do and plan to use their son as a breakthrough in the hope that he will give up the investigation. Chen Jian has always been a precious son and will definitely be soft-hearted. When the time comes, everyone will try to persuade him, and his anger will be gone. So, they started teaching Xiao Chao this rhetoric last night, and practiced it for a long time this morning. Chen Jian didn't reply yesterday. He must be back today to change clothes. As soon as they heard the door knock, the two of them quickly started acting. After all, Chen Yi fell from a high altitude, so Zhou Na never thought that she would be discharged from the hospital so early. Now the drama she was performing was not only seen by others, but also exposed in front of her face. Zhou Na felt embarrassed and suddenly turned black. She ran to the door and took a peek. The door was empty, but Chen Jian was really missing. You came back on your own? Yeah, are you anxious to find him to act? Chao Ran smiled. But I don't think the one just now was very good. How about you two reimagine it and try another one? I can give you a reference to see if it can impress my dad.